I just wanted to come and do a wee garden vlog. So last year was the first kind of proper year that we invested in the garden. Steve built this because it was all hilly and we couldn't use the bit at the top. So this was Steve's lockdown project. He was off for 4 weeks. And the area at the top we'll concentrate on maybe this summer. He also built that as well at the top. It looks like a little chalet, but it's a wee shed. I can take you up at some point when my legs are feeling up to it. These plants were left by the previous owner, but they were root bound, so we had to hack away at them, but they're looking pretty healthy this year. So we spent hundreds of pounds last year on plants. And the soil here is really weird. It's like clay, but it then goes like sand. It's bizarre. So we spent a lot of money on plants and bits and pieces. So this part is my part of the garden that's kind of structured. And we wanted this to be like this, but the other side I wanted to keep like my wildlife side. So you'll see in here the plants that have done really well are the lavenders. The agapanthus looks like it might be coming back, so I'm not too sure. This grass here has done really well. So that at the back was actually a dahlia. However, I didn't know you were supposed to either dig them up or mulch them, so anything that needs dug up is not going to happen with me. This was our one and only annual that we didn't find out until after they started to die, and I googled it that it was an annual. So I tend to only try and plant perennials. My friend gave me this fuchsia, and it's had lots of flowers, but it's coming back into life. So there was a foxglove here, and I don't know what's happened. I don't think that's going to make a show, but we're going to wait until kind of we get into the spring proper to see what comes back. So up at the back there I had a massive plant called a purple baron, which was beautiful. It looked like hot dogs. It doesn't sound that beautiful. And there was a giant dahlia up there too. Lots of carnations or dianthus at the bottom that just died off. And I can't remember the name of that green plant at the back, but that's coming back to life, which is good. So this year what we're going to do is I'm just going to be trying things that come from, there's a local lady, we got this rock and at night it lights up the Buddha, so it's really nice. We've got this local lady, Mrs. Mack, who does charity plants, and I'm just going to go back to her and get cuttings, or cuttings from friends, or buy them from Aldi. So Dobbies do amazing plants, but I didn't realise how many of them would actually not reappear. So the grasses have done really well, and this is an almaris. It'll have big flowers. So this little black grass is actually growing really well, considering it was tiny when we got it. When you look at the lavender up there, this was French lavender and nothing's actually happened. So we'll see if it kicks into life when we get into the spring, but I'm not sure. So one of the things that my friend told me that was kind of good advice was that if you can kind of snap it, you know, just with your finger, then, you know, take it apart. But if it's woody and thick, leave it. So this one here actually looks like it might be beginning to get some buds on it. So I'm hopeful that that might come back. Not got a clue what this is, because I don't think I actually planted that. So there was hundreds of, because I don't know if you can see it yet, but we've got woods at the back of us. So we had hundreds of fern coming through. This is why we've got the cover in here. So this is my kind of side that is more structured, but I like my little ducks, my Buddha, and the little bumblebee. I think that's really cute. We've got some solar lights, those black ones there, those kind of look like flames, which is really nice during the night. And we got these table and chairs from Aldi. They do have cushion covers, but they're actually really comfy when you're sitting in them without the cushion covers. This is a clematis that we did have two, and we dug one up and gave it to my friend. And her one, well, we had big purple flowers one year, and then the following year we had white flowers. So I suspect what's happened is we've given her the purple one and this is the white one. So we cut it right back because it was just a mess. So we cut it right back. Steve's going to be replacing that trellis at the back, and then we'll trail it through, but there's lots of new growth coming in here. That shed goes all the way down the side of the house, which is handy for storing gardening stuff. It needs a proper tidy up. This is my wood burner. Don't use it very often. I hate the smell of burning wood, but it was good for the offcuts that we kind of had here. Steve built these steps for me, so my mobility isn't great, but he built these steps for me, and they're on wheels as well, so they can be moved about, so I can actually climb up and have a banister to climb up on. However, I would only use that on days where I'm kind of feeling up to it. So over here, you might have noticed the succulents in the pots. I'll take you back and I'll show you those. My friend got me one and I picked up some more, so they're a bit higgledy-piggledy, and probably these ones need taken out and repotted. But the crows took out the kind of shiny things that were in here and kept throwing about the the shells and things. So that was quite interesting. But what I'll probably do is pop those up in the rocks and let them grow, because they don't like a lot of water. And they need a lot of sun, so right at the back we get the sun the most there, which is why Steve built this, because we get all our sun at the top. We don't get it at the bottom until about 1 o'clock. So I'll take you over here. So Antonia was really kind. Her dad gave us a cutting off, I can't pronounce it, but it's also known as a butterfly bush. So that's doing really well, but we're seeing what grows. The succulents produce babies like you wouldn't believe, so I've just taken them out and popped them in various different pots, as you can see here. I've got some little cuttings from one of my friends at work. Only seems to be one that's living, so I've brought them out to see if it kind of helps. So she said keep them indoors for a bit, water them, and then harden them off outside, which essentially means bring them out when the weather's nice, I think. You see the bamboo at the back? That all came in that pot there, which now has a hydrangea in it, which Steve cut back drastically last year. So yeah, we've got it on both sides to grow up, just to break up the wood. And at the back of those stones there, I do plan on planting the succulents. So here's another of these. It did have stones and shiny things, but I'll take some of them out and plant them in the rocks. So I think they'll thrive up there. My friend gave me this, isn't it beautiful? And these little red leaves. I think it's called a parole or similar, but I'm keeping that in the pot for now because I think it looks pretty. My hydrangea, Steve gave it a drastic haircut, but I think it will come back. It's looking like it's good, so I think we'll hopefully get flowers this year. The astleby, I wasn't sure if that was going to come back up. It's just a white flower, but it's really pretty. I'll talk you through the wild part in a minute. So we've got this little grass here, which actually is growing really well. This grass here is growing well. This is more of the, I think it's an Almeria, and you can see here that the little buds are coming up, so they're really pretty. This plant over here is supposed to be planted round the other way, but we'll fix that. This is it's actually sage, but I'm not sure. I bought that at the plant market. Yeah, I'm sure that's a dahlia at the back. Picked this up from Aldi because my French lavender has not done anything, so it's Italian herb lavender. So I'm going to wait and see what comes up and what kind of grows and what doesn't before we plant that. This I got from Home Base, my little bird bath. However, it's only the bees and the wasps that use it, but that's why I've put the rocks in so that they can have a drink and they don't drown. However, they've sussed that they can use the birds. So this plant at the back, I've got all the names for them somewhere and I can pop them in the description if you're interested. Another Italian herb lavender, another little Almeria, yeah, that's not coming back. Now this was a Michaelmas daisy, or Michaelmas daisy. Don't think it's going to do anything, but these have grown up, which we suspect might be it. So that's the fun part about gardening when you're brand new to it. You've not got a clue. So my sister has a beautiful camellia in her garden. It's like a tree. So when I saw this in Aldi for £5.49, I thought I need that. And I also fancy the idea of having more kind of evergreen rather than a winter garden where everything looks pretty crappy. The azalea for £3.50 from Tesco, I could not resist. At the back there's a Fuchsia, which smells like chocolate, but it's not coming back. I don't think it's coming back at all. I think it's one of these ones that if you're a seasoned gardener, you would know that it was a tender perennial and it needs dug up. Yep, the French lavender, which looks really pretty with its purple heads on it, but it's not coming back at all. So I'm going to use these little steps and climb up and show you what else we've got. So this is my wild side. So Steve actually dug out these stones and built that other layer of wall, and that is actually my favourite layer in the summer. So when the geranium come to life, they're absolutely beautiful. This one here, I don't think, there's a sea breeze I think it's called, but I don't think anything's happening with that. I can see some green shoots though. These are coming from over here, not to be confused. But I will kind of do an update as we come along. The geraniums come back to life. This one's blooming. Not sure about this one. And this is supposed to be a foxglove, but it's massive. So anyway, last year, alongside spending hundreds of pounds on plants, we spent like, we bought loads of bulbs. Now I must admit, Steve bought the cheap bulbs, I bought the expensive ones, but I don't think you can see any difference. So we're at that stage at the moment where we're just kind of waiting to see what is what are weeds and what are kind of bulbs and what are my friend gave me that one there, that's kind of doing really well. And that plant at the back looks like it's coming back to life. The dafts, I think I need to cut those back now because they're dying. But we planted loads of tubers, loads of bulbs and loads of wild flower seeds. So as a result of that, we've ended up with all these different types of wild flowers that I would say the majority of them are poppies. But they're absolutely stunning. And I think just by a couple of weeks, so some of them actually came out in the autumn, but they were hammered by the bad weather. But I think I've kind of missed the best of them to show you. So at the moment, you're probably, if you're looking at this thinking, oh, this is horrendous. But we really do need to see what's going to grow up. I've got no clue what that is. It could be a mystery tuber that I planted. So you can see lots of little bulbs. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what comes up. So yeah, those poppies were looking really pretty a couple of weeks ago. But I think they're coming to their end of their sell-by date. So some of them were really unusual as well. So this one here actually looked a bit like a kind of carnation, if you can see it there. So I've got another these are different daffodils that we planted. This plant at the back was absolutely huge, massive gigantic leaves, and I didn't think it was coming back, but it's coming back. I'm delighted to see that actually. So we planted some crocuses and some wild seeds in the front grass. Oh, look, the bumblebee. But I think we're just gonna give up on that and plant the rest of the wild seeds through here. And I've also bought some different things from Poundland and Morrison's and Asda. and I'll kind of show you how we're supposed to grow those and how they get on. So this year I'm not spending hundreds of pounds like I did last year for a lot of it just to die away. I'll be going to Mrs. Max and I'll be buying the pound packets of bulbs. I might need to, I don't know, I think at the other side, my more structured side, if the, going to come down now, if the plants don't come back, we can decide that's where we're going to put the shrubs. So the Camellia and the Azalea and the butterfly bush will grow really quite big. The same as the Fuchsia and the Parole over there. Yeah, and that is fake ivy. Steve popped that up just to break up all the blue. I think that works really well. And he made that little trough there to put the bamboo in. It is quite steep, so I have actually struggled to get the weeds out from there, but luckily, you know, I don't have to do it that often. And the other side is just the occasional digging out the occasional weed, because the bark does a pretty good job in stopping any weeds growing through. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on my update, and I'll show you how it's coming along, and I can tell you a bit more, show you what's come back to life and what hasn't. But this has been quite an interesting journey for us, and I've discovered that actually you don't need to spend hundreds of pounds. Dobby's plants are amazing, right? It's a garden centre. I don't know if you've got them all over the country in Scotland. I mean, the plants are top class, but if they die back and come back every year, brilliant. But it's just remembering that, you know, they might look good at the time, but will they come back, and can I actually grow the same, but just over a longer period of time? So yeah, I'll kind of come back to you in about a month or so and show you what else is happening in the garden, what the bulbs are, cut back the dafts. So yeah, we wanted something that was kind of pretty fuss free, apart from my wild side, but as I say, we don't know what's in the wild side until, you know, until everything's come up. We can then work out what's a weed and what isn't. So and definitely come back, and it definitely needs a bit of a tidy up, all my plants and everything that are out, but that whirligig is next to useless because we don't get any sun. So yeah, I think in a few months the garden's going to look like a different place. We bought that little thing to put the cushions in, but it's only big enough for some of the cushions, so the rest are up there. So anyway, I'll come back, and I hope you enjoyed this kind of little tour of my little animals in the garden. These little ornaments are like my favourite. I must admit, little fox is my favourite. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.